It took me a while to get through the Woolworths checkout. There was a guy there who must have bought more than he could afford, because he had to, one of the bags had to be tagged or something by the woman there, and for him to pick up later. So that's a sign of the times. As I just walked past out of there, there's this guy with some sort of a message on a piece of cardboard, sort of presumably begging. Hard times. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I really feel for someone who's got negative equity in a house. That would just be horrible. And apparently there's a lot of interest-only loans that have been converted to interest and principal, and so the repayments sort of going up to like 25% or more. Just, you can imagine people on the breadlines. Most people apparently don't have any savings, which is quite frightening. I think the household savings amount is, I mean, don't quote me on this, but it was some ludicrous figure, like about $500. If an emergency came up, that's all they had to dig in. I mean, I've known people with families who are maxed out on their credit cards, and that's a terrible way to do your finances, because you're paying ridiculously high interest rates. Utterly immoral, really. They're that high. Just disgusting. So, yeah, it's tough. I've been sensible with money. I haven't had a lot of it in my life, and I've been very careful with it. Mind you, I've blown a bit on the stock exchange. I got in there at the wrong time. I've never really had a great deal of luck with stocks, but I have taken some profits over the years. So, in spite of the fact I'm in a hole when it comes to the actual value of the shares, I probably extracted the same amount in profits from selling shares. And when you consider you get dividends as well, although not all my stocks are getting dividends, and that pisses me off because there's no income flow. So they're really just a liability. The only good thing about them is, as I mentioned earlier, you can write them off as a loss if you happen to have income that needs to write them off against. If I became, say, a pensioner, an old age pensioner at the moment, because I'm not that age yet, 67 in my case, because I keep pushing it out. When that happens, I'll be income tested, and I'll have to, I'm thinking about possibly living in Vietnam as a way of, and renting here, in which case I'll have, the rent would probably affect any benefits I get, so I'm going to have to basically juggle around between the, and minimise that. And the way you can do that, if you've got shares, you can sell shares at a loss. So you can clean out your portfolio and also minimise tax. I suppose that's the advantage you've got. It's Thursday, isn't it? Yes, it's Thursday. And I've got to head off to the bank, get some currency, get some euros. I've actually, the weird thing is the exchange rate that I'm getting on euros at the ANZ is actually better now than at the money exchange Oz place. I can't remember the title of it, but it's the exchange that's in with Flight Centre upstairs next to Coles supermarket. Yeah, they're actually, for some reason, their rates have just dropped off. They were paying about 0.5 of a euro better, but now they're actually behind the ANZ, and they have been for a few days. So, very strange. Yeah, currency is hard to work out. I mean, I'm really kicking myself I didn't buy US dollars when the Aussie dollar, I think, got up to about, was about 120, 1.2 US dollars to the Australian dollar during the mining boom. And that was the time to buy. And I sort of knew it, but I never acted on it. And it's dumb, because you look at it now and, geez, I tell you what, it'd be like a 40% increase in the Aussie dollars if you had a few US dollars stowed away right now. 'Cause, yeah, the Oz is really dying. So I'll get that sorted mainly today. I'm going to get one of their money cards, mainly for security reasons. I mean, you have to pay about $2.2 euros for each withdrawn on ATM over in Spain. And the other thing to take into account is you want to get an ATM that doesn't charge you local charges as well. There are some ATMs that are fee free, so you just got to check out those. But I'd take out a swag of money at once rather than doing a whole lot of transactions, because That way the added cost is less than 1%. So that's not too bad. So it's more of a security backup than anything else. Cash is definitely the way to go if you want value, rather than using cards and what have you. I don't want to use my my Visa card, because if I lost that, that'd be much more. That's the ultimate backup card. I don't want to lose that one. As I say, it's happened to me in Malaysia. It's not a good feeling, and I want to avoid it. Not too breezy today, although I'm coming to the wind tunnel area now, so this is where it's worse, just around where the Bob Jane T-Mart is. So it's a beautiful day. Still trying to add to my Spanish vocab. I didn't do much yesterday. For some reason I was down the dumps. I have no idea why. There's nothing, no reason to be worried at all. Yeah, I couldn't get the card actually at ANZ yesterday. I had to make an appointment today for some reason, and I was a bit worried that the exchange rate might drop a bit, because they exchange it once a day, but it hasn't. It's only gone down really marginally, so you wouldn't notice it. So it's not a big deal. But yeah, I guess they wanted to knock off at 4 o'clock, because I got there at about 3:30, I'd say. And I don't think the staff wanted to start up any new business at that stage, because then they'll have to hang around the office. And yeah, I can sort of understand the mentality of that. I don't think I wouldn't be hanging around a bank as longer than I'd have to, unless I was maybe robbing it. That'd be about the only circumstance. But even then, you want to get out quickly, you want to get caught. So yeah, they're not my favourite places. I've worked in one, so worked in head office, and yeah, I wouldn't want to do it again. I've got my travel money card all organised now. It'll be activated tomorrow. It takes 24 hours to get activated. Yeah, I'll tell you what, there's not much money. You don't get much money now. I put 500 Oz into the card. That only equates to 293 euros. So yeah, you don't get much bang for your buck these days. And I was actually surprised how long it took. I was given a half-hour appointment at 9:30, and it took half an hour. It's 10 o'clock now, and it did actually take the half hour to get it all organised. So that was surprising. And I was waiting outside the actual branch. There's actually sort of an enclave area where they've got a couple of ATMs, and I was waiting there, and there's this girl behind me. She politely waited behind me. And then this guy just whilst straight past us and just queue jumped and went straight up to the top ATM, oblivious to the fact that people were waiting outside. And he wasn't the only guy who did that. There was another queue jumper as well. So that's sorted. I think we've got medication, got the money, got everything sorted. So. And I can always top it up anyway with using the BPay system to top up the card. So and the good thing is, I'll say this for them too, they thought it through. They give you a primary card and a secondary card for security, because they can't replace your cards when you're overseas. So that's the downside, I guess, whereas Visa will replace the card if you lose that. They'll actually deliver it to you. But in with the ANZ money card, you've got two cards anyway. And so you can put one in a different location to the primary card, and it's good. It's a really good idea, because if someone breaks into my apartment over there, they won't be getting my card, because I'll have that in my money belt. So it's good. It's really good security. And you know, it'd be a nightmare if you didn't have any money when you're overseas. So that'd be horrible. And never happened to me. Well, it came close. In Morocco it came close, and I was just left with traveller's checks. But again, I did have a backup, and luckily I didn't have the traveller's checks in the same in my pocket. It was in my backpack, and they didn't take it from there. So they pickpocketed me, and stupidly I did have a money belt, but I didn't have it under my clothing, and that's just dumb, because that's I always play it safe these days, and I haven't had an issue. So yeah, you just got to be smart when you travel. Got to be very defensive, and then you'll have a decent trip, no hassles. So everything's planned, everything's sorted, but of course the best planned ventures can go awry. Oh, that's the other thing I was going to mention about bloody airlines. They've got a no. Most of them now got these no-show policies, which are really draconian in my opinion. Where if you don't turn up for say one leg of a flight, you can forfeit all the other flights as well. I think that stinks. If you've got a legitimate excuse, that is. I mean, just by being late, they won't let you. They won't actually cut you any slack. I mean, I think it's right that you don't want passengers holding up planes and whatever. That's ridiculous. Ones are just too slack to turn up on time. But if it's something out of your control, well, hopefully they don't. They do couch it in terms where there is an allowance for circumstances, obviously. So they say may cancel them, but it'd be a real bastard's act, because it's enough of a trial going on long haul flights as it is without that sort of hassle hanging over you. But my major hassle for the outbound journey is going to be making sure I made that connection in Singapore to get the BA flight. But seeing I'm flying Qantas, there's a fair bit of redundancy there. There should be a lot of flights coming out of Melbourne. I guess the worst case scenario would be if there's some sort of a atmospheric problem, you know, fog or whatever, that's stopping all planes leaving, because there are a lot of Qantas flights going out of Melbourne. So there's alternative flights to choose from. It shouldn't be an issue. So fingers crossed it isn't. But I always like to think of the worst case scenario, just in case, just to prepare. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.